two.
I'm Ashton Addison from RChain for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Greg Meredith, the president of RChain Co-op. Greg, welcome back to the show, and it's great to see you again, and thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's great to see you again, too.
I'm really excited about the updates with RChain, the Dapps you're working on, the mainnet growth, and I would love to just kick it off for the viewers, for those who aren't familiar with the intricacies of RChain, to just start with a high-level overview of RChain Network and some things that are unique about the technology.
Yeah, two things that are unique. It's a great question. First of all, the technology is the only technology that I know of that scales both vertically and horizontally. So as you add hardware, the chain gets faster. And it's no secret now that we are also working with a partner, actually multiple partners, on hardware acceleration. So we'll be rolling out. So not only is it that as you add hardware, it gets faster, but we're working with some hardware solutions which in and of themselves make the chain about 300 times faster.
Wow.
So we're very excited about this. And then, but the thing is, once you have those kinds of speeds, then you really can't afford to have certain kinds of bugs, like what we saw with Ethereum DAO bug or the Parity wallet error, things like that. And so the other thing that RChain offers is a bunch of an approach to security errors that is unique to RChain. There's a lot more we could go into there, but let's leave it at that.
Definitely. And I know the RChain Mainnet launched near the beginning of 2020, so it's been out for a while now. How much of that focus has been on growing, making sure that you don't have those bugs, focusing on the security, upgrading the protocol, and then moving into actually building Dapp development on top of the protocol?
Yeah, so most of it has been rolling out the features that allow for it to scale out vertically and horizontally. And it will be in Venus that we roll out the security solution, which is the next release after this one. But now that we're at a point where we are able to scale out in this fashion, we anticipate that as Dapps hear about this platform, they'll want to come check it out and start deploying. And so we want to smooth the pathway. We want to make that on ramp as easy as possible. And one of the things that Dapps face on blockchain that they don't face in sort of Web 2.0 situations is that you have to pay for every backend transaction. I mean, RChain has been fast enough for a long time to store data directly on chain. So in our launch ceremony back in 2018 when we launched testnet, we demonstrated storing audio data on chain and retrieving it for players in real time. And so but the thing is that if you use RChain in this way, kind of as a database in the cloud, then you're going to have to pay for every access to the backend, and that's not something that applications are used to, or at least not in the same way. And passing those costs along to their clients is also not something their clients are used to, right? So users of Twitter are not used to having to pay. Facebook are not used to having to pay. But in fact, they are paying, but they're paying in a funny way, right? And that is through sponsorship and through advertisement. And so that ends up being not the best solution for all, because it spawns this kind of weird surveillance capitalism. So what RChain has done is to provide a sponsorship layer across all of RChain. So any Dapp building on RChain can access this sponsorship layer, which then they can turn around, and as long as their users are willing to accept sponsorship or sponsored content, then their use of the Dapp can either be subsidized or made completely free. So that's the idea. But the nice thing is that this works across all Dapps, right? So it's a layer that any Dapp can avail itself of. So let me give a quick example. several months back, the community built a COVID passport on top of RChain. So you could, and there's a nice sort of digital signing regimen with the COVID passport that meant that no one could use the system to scam, either sell COVID data or pretend to be someone else that like that. So you could imagine that the government might want to sponsor healthcare data on the COVID passport, and in this way make a COVID passport free to any citizen who wanted to use it, and then as a result be able to push out public service announcements through the COVID passport. So sponsorship is not just about Starbucks or Apple providing ads to end users, but it could be used for a wide range of information dissemination. Does that make sense?
Definitely, Greg, and those are great points. I love what you mentioned about the cost of Dapps. Having to have to pass those costs on to the customers, especially in the early days of growing a decentralized application, is going to be way tougher than the way that is happening right now with these applications like Facebook and Twitter you mentioned. But there is that surveillance capitalism where they are sort of paying in a different way. And there's sort of a controversy around that right now because a lot of people are fed up with using these free apps and sort of feeling like the product. And so we need to reinvent the advertising model so that people can use apps for free or not have to pay for them, but not also feel like they're under surveillance or like they are the product. So it is really interesting, and I think that RChain's approach and to it on the platform and allowing, like what I'm reading into this platform ecosystem that you're building called DAASL, which is sort of like a blockchain software as a service. As you mentioned, it can go on to multiple dApps. It's not just a single dApp itself, it's a whole platform. To be able to reinvent that model, I think is going to be super important to having dApps that actually get used and for onboarding people in an easy way and not having them feel like they either have to pay or become the product. So I'd love to hear more about DAASL and how you're starting to build that platform to then release that into the Dapp ecosystem, into RChain.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. So and it's one of the things that internally we've wanted to. We spent a lot of time making sure that we stayed on the right side of the angels here. Mm-hmm. There's a basic API where if you supply the DAASL token, then or in the right quantity for a particular backend query access or call to a smart contract, then the results that come back are free of advertisement. And if you don't supply it in sufficient quantity, then the results that come back are sprinkled with advertisement. And so when you then display them back to the users or through whatever API that you're using to display data to the users, they will include sponsored content as well as the content that was. And so that's a very simple API. But you clearly, those folks who are a little bit familiar with marketing, the people who are trying to reach out to eyeballs on the other side, they want to know as much as possible about their target audience. Mm-hmm. And so we also have APIs that allow for people to self-disclose. So they can participate in tailoring the kind of sponsored content they get based upon their desires. Very often people do find out about products or services that they are interested in because they're saying, well, these are the kinds of things I really want to know about. So that's not the same as surveillance capitalism, right? Where like recently Apple just rolled out a major fix on their platform fix that meant that a whole bunch of applications couldn't track their usage across different apps.
Yeah.
So, which has been the modus operandi for Facebook and a whole bunch of others for quite some time. So this is a real concern within the marketplace, and it touches on serious issues of privacy. So what we're doing is providing self-disclosure APIs, so that people can find out about things they really want to find out about, and opt out of the things that they don't want to participate in. That's an example of some of the APIs that we're providing with DAASL, and as we've mentioned, this is in fact tokenized, and because the tokenization is on the blockchain, then you get much better analytics. Right now, marketers have to trust Google or Facebook in terms of what they report about the hits that are related to their usage of those marketing APIs, when in fact, who knows what's really going on? How often do you click on a Facebook ad? But here, that data will be on a blockchain, and so those kinds of analytics can be checked, and so that provides a layer of accountability that hasn't been seen before. So that's another what we think is an improvement to this kind of sponsorship.
Definitely, and I think that it seems like the potential for this to grow into every kind of Dapp and every application that requires your attention is going to be it's huge. It's more than just a Dapp. It's the Dapp of all Dapps. And when I think about this attention economy, I sort of think of the Brave browser, where they've sort of in a different way remodeled advertising to be able to opt in and to opt out, and that kind of platform already has millions of users. It's great to have a crypto blockchain integration where there actually is millions of people adopting it already, and we're not really seeing that with a lot of more intricate technical Dapps. Do you see the market for DAASL as being this big and reaching tens of millions quickly, and to allow people that aren't really technical to start adopting this Dapp on the back end?
Absolutely. Like just so that people are aware, online advertising is the largest economy in the world. It surpasses oil. It surpasses all the economies that you thought were super large. Well, online advertising surpasses those. And like just as a simple example, Alphabet, so the parent company of Google, makes close to 90% of its revenue from online advertising. So that gives you, and that's just the Google family of applications. When you multiply that out by Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of the other different properties, you'll see why I say this is such a huge economic machine. It's absolutely, and so it's really important, both if you want Dapp adoption on chain, but also if you want users to be able to participate in those economies, then I think you have to make this available to blockchain Dapps. One of the things that's really different about DAASL that we believe impacts adoption is that users can also participate in the ad revenue. So imagine that Alice is an end user for Bob's Dapp. After Alice has paid off her use of Bob's Dapp, then it is perfectly reasonable for her to then continue to get to the payment that she's generating can now go to Alice, right? So as she's viewing more sponsored content, right, after the sponsorship pays for her use of the Dapp, then the remaining time that, say, for example, she might have in a monthly use period, all of that, all of her viewing of that sponsored content, that engagement could accrue in a wallet that Alice has on Bob. So we believe that should really accelerate the adoption of these kinds of platforms, because then it becomes a real attention economy, in the sense that, everyone is participating. With dApps like Google or Facebook, apps like Google or Facebook, the people who make those platforms valuable, they do not participate in those economies. So we think that changing it around like that will really make a difference in terms of adoption.
Definitely. Financial incentives can do wonders as well if you're so Greg, we don't have a lot of time, but I want to hear sort of a snapshot of where DAASL's at right now, and what are the next steps that you're working on with the team throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, so in December of last year, we illustrated the basic changes to Rolang that we wanted to make in order for the DAASL APIs to be smooth and clean. And so essentially there was there's an RChain community debrief in which we the developer who was working on that did a little demo, and that was kind of the proto DAASL demo. And the intent is to do the major launch for the DAASL platform right after we demonstrate the hardware acceleration. So once we've kind of shown the world the potential here in terms of low cost, low power hardware acceleration, making good on RChain's promises to be not just scalable, but environmentally sustainable and responsible. Then right on the heels of that, we believe that the Dapp world needs to receive this invitation to come and build on RChain. And so that invitation will come in the form of the DAASL launch. So we're, you can expect a fourth quarter invitation to come play with DAASL, fourth quarter of this year.
Very exciting. And yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned there about the environmental sustainability. I know RChain, the co-op, is working on a lot of environmental responsibility and sustainability efforts, and that's been in the light recently, with Bitcoin and all over crypto Twitter, everyone talking about how are these blockchains going to be environmentally sustainable, and I know RChain is working on that really hard. So I will be looking forward to that DAASL launch. For the viewers that are looking to get involved with RChain, the co-op, follow along with DAASL, learn more about the platform and the protocol overall, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Well, first and foremost is just the website, rchain.coop. And then there's also DAASL.io. So that's DAASL. It's a funny acronym for Dapp as a service. So those are first. There's the RChain community debrief, our Discord channels, all of which you can find through the website. And DAASL is kind of in stealth mode, except for the little website, but it's beginning to come out and show itself now. So look for more from RChain, and that will be your sort of way in.
Sounds great, Greg. I will leave the co-op links and the link to DAASL in the description box below. All the best with growing out DAASL and the whole protocol for the rest of this year, and we'll talk again soon. And so let's follow up in the near future.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.